are back here on Lines on Design. We are here with Jerry Ashmore from The Greenery. We talked with him last year and we're back to find out the magic he has helped work here in Port Royal. We were just talking to Jolie and it was amazing. I tell you, Mike and I, the cameraman, we're driving up and down Port Royal. It's absolutely beautiful. And lots of interesting things to talk about that you all have had a huge contribution in. And I have to laugh, and this is just an anecdote, but when I was talking to Jolie, and Joe, this is, I'm gonna share this. First thing he said, do you know The Greenery is employee owned? I was like, oh my gosh.
That's right. That's right.
I love it. But let's talk design. Let's talk about storm water maintenance and runoff, the wetlands, and some of the things that you all have done that are pretty cutting edge here at Port Royal.
Okay. Well, several years ago, the town of Port Royal and some engineering companies and The Greenery talked about what they could do with their storm water. And basically, storm water is water that runs off the road after a storm. It's what's not absorbed into the road.
And it was interesting because you showed me where it goes, and you're like, people just assume there's a big tank to catch it.
Right, and that's not the case. Stormwater comes from buildings, comes from lawns, it comes from roads and things like that, and then it runs. It's what's not absorbed, so it runs into wetlands areas and things like that.
Okay.
In this setting here, it's a great example of the stormwater running from Paris Avenue and from these areas into this first pond.
Okay.
And then it's filtered through other ponds, through a series of wetlands and ponds throughout here before it's discharged into the Beaufort River.
Talk to me about what a wetlands means.
Wetlands is an area where you can capture water, where you can clean water, and where you can discharge the water.
All right.
And it's discharged and it's captured and it's cleaned naturally here through the plants and through the wildlife and things like that. And when you develop a wetlands, then you have other birds and animals and critters that come to this area and make it their home. There's several different species of birds in here that nest in here, and other raccoons and alligators and little fish and things that swim and things like that.
What's interesting is you've taken a maintenance issue from my lay point of view and created an attraction.
Absolutely.
Because just in the 30 minutes that we've been talking, there have been walking tours. We've seen lots of traffic go by, looking at everything. Tell me a little bit about, there's this lovely amphitheater and boardwalk.
Yeah, this is a great amenity for the town of Port Royal, and you've got a lot of bird watchers that come and walk the area. A lot of naturalists that come by and look at the plants and the things like that.
I saw a couple of just flat out walkers walking the trails.
Well, over to my right is the YMCA back over in here, so you've got a lot of folks that exercise and use the pathway. So this is an area that the community can come and have events, you know, and people can walk around and see the natural beauty, and it also benefits everyone in the community by discharging clean water into the Beaufort River.
From a maintenance point of view, is there maintenance to this area? Because while it looks very natural, it certainly doesn't look overgrown. That's what we were just talking about. There's Queen Anne's lace. We've seen 30, 40 birds. We've seen, I love it. I'm so technical, brown ones, white ones, you know, ones that fly, ones that nest.
There are maintenance issues that we do in here. Of course, in the amphitheater area, it's a little higher end, and we keep this area cleaned and do the annual planning and manicured. As you go through here, you're going to have some fallen trees and debris and things like that. Well, we encourage that because that becomes a habitat for a bird or a lizard or a bug or something like that. But then there's going to be just maybe some incidental trash or cans or something like that. And from time to time, we'll come in here and we'll manage what you see here so that it doesn't become overgrown.
Do you find that when people have such a wonderful facility, they tend to take care of it better?
Absolutely.
Also? Because to me, it feels very pristine. But again, having walked up and down the street, that flavor of well taken care of, well coiffed, goes all the way up and down too.
Sure.
I mean, the courthouse was gorgeous.
Right. Port Royal is a hidden jewel. There are a lot of neat and very attractive areas, a lot of historical things in this area. It's a well-kept
secret.
That's right.
It really is.
Yeah, and it's a well-kept area. I think the town manager, and the town council really have kind of gotten behind that and recognized that.
Now, do you also maintain just the general areas of Port Royal? What parts do you, the Greenery, really?
We maintain thoroughfares, parks, vistas, right-of-ways and things like that as you're going down Rebo Road or at the Paris Island Bridge there, the causeway and things like that. Some of your main roads, Paris Avenue, your right-of-ways, clean the drains and things like that so the water can get to the drains to get to the wetlands areas and things like that.
When you all at the Greenery, you're not just simply landscaping or maintenance. Do you do all the design also? Can you design, can you build?
We can design, we can build, we can install, and we can maintain.
This time of year, all right?
Okay.
Is this the biggest challenge? Is summer your biggest challenge? Is it winter? What season really presents the most challenge?
I think spring is very challenging.
Because?
Because everything happens at one time.
Oh.
It all, you know, everything goes from winter to growing, and you got to really stay on top of your maintenance and the things that you're doing. As you get into the summer, it gets a little bit more manageable.
Okay.
And then in the fall, it gets a little bit more challenging. But I would say spring is by far probably the busiest and the best time at the Greenery.
How's the water level right now? I mean, are we getting good water? Or?
Yeah, we're starting to recently. I mean, there for a while we were pretty dry, but here recently it's come on.
You talked about it coming in and coming off of all the roads and houses, going into this pond. Where does it go from here?
Through the series of other wetlands and ponds, there's 4 other wetlands and ponds.
Oh, throughout Port Royal?
Connected to Port Royal and down through here.
Okay.
And before it's discharged to into the Beaufort River.
Oh, and okay.
And it just automatically goes in you know, it's discharged into there, and by that time it's clean.
Yeah, why is that such a good thing? Clean from what? How is it
from
clean?
any oil or gas or anything that could have been on the road.
Makes sense.
You know, buildings, any paint, anything that could have leached from yards or anything like that.
And how does it get clean? Just from it uses the natural plants as a filtration system?
It uses plants, it uses soil in there to collect on and to bind with.
There's cattails, not to interrupt you. Is that true?
Yep.
Those are pretty. I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. But
but I digress.
Yeah, it uses the plants to help filter. It uses the soil, and then it kind of settles out. A lot of your elements may be settled out through the process so that when it finally gets to the end, it's nature's own way to filtrate.
When you're doing, well, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Has maintenance changed a lot in the 10 years, 13 years that you've been doing it as far as thinking more green, thinking more environmentally sound or friendly?
Absolutely.
What does that look like?
Absolutely.
In terms of practical applications?
I think it's just always thinking about the environment, always thinking about the footprint, always thinking about the impact, and keeping those and just making sound decisions. You know, when you're doing your maintenance, and how is this going to affect, or how is this going to impact, or what type of footprint are we going to leave?
It's really been fun for me to talk to you who are close to the town council. It seems like there's a nice collaboration between everyone here in the city of Port Royal.
I think so. I think it's a real good relationship. I think they've got a lot of vision, and they're forward thinking, and they bring some things to us, and we work real well together.
Well, and I told Joe this, and I mean this for you too. Now that WHHI is here throughout the Low Country, we really want to take advantage of some of these fabulous places that we have. So we would love to be invited back, go through some great homes, see some of the cool projects that you're doing. We really appreciate it. That sounds great. We want to thank you all for taking time out of your day and for joining us here on Lines on Design. Have a great one. Bye-bye.